Welcome back to the Cellar Road Podcast. My name is Adam.
I'm Anna.
And today we're going to be talking about something that can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make less intimidating.
Yes.
And it's how to buy wine or wine gifts for someone who really likes wine.
Correct.
Or is really knowledgeable about wine.
Yeah.
I know even for me now, that can be a terrifying prospect.
Uh-huh.
And so we're just going to kind of talk through some ways to win at that particular adventure.
Correct.
And so we'll talk about like what wines to buy for somebody who really likes wine or is really knowledgeable. We'll talk about some gifts to buy them, and then we're going to introduce this beautiful bottle that's sitting on the table with us today.
Yeah.
And actually, we'll probably start with the introduction of the wine.
Yeah. Please introduce this wine. I don't know much about it.
So this wine is a wine from Switzerland. This is the grape is Amigne. The wine comes from the Valais growing region of Switzerland. It is a Grand Cru, meaning it's one of the best parts of the Valais to grow, and it's historically known to grow this wine really well, or this grape. This is Amigne de Vetróz, and it comes to us from a really well-respected producer, Romain Papieu. This is a small family farm, and this wine is a 2015. So not only is this wine unique because it is coming from Switzerland, which isn't necessarily known for its wine production in the United States especially, it's also unique because it is coming from a small grower producer, and it is 2015 white, so this is almost 10 years old.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
So what happens when you put white wine down for 10 years?
It just turns into marmalade.
It does. It becomes super jammy and honey and everything nice.
Yeah. And this is really just the effect of aging and what aging can do to a wine that can age, or a wine that's intended to be aged, such as this one, where you get to really experience the tertiary notes start to develop that only come from oxygen and come from age, such as honey and marmalade and baked fruits and jam, and
you also start to get
beautiful.
some of those really interesting, like almost like five spice, Chinese five spice, and some other things that indicate that this would be a great wine to pair with food.
Yes.
And so before we dive into the wine too much, let's talk about what kind of wine do you buy for somebody who likes wine? You buy a fun one. You buy a wine that is going to be interesting for them.
Yes.
And so why did we choose this wine for this episode? Because it's an interesting wine.
It's a very interesting wine. Not a lot of wine gets exported from Switzerland. And you don't see this grape a lot in general. And so I would be ecstatic, like if somebody were to give me a bottle of this, just because it is so incredibly unique, even if I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, this wine is, it's first of all, it's a white that's aged for almost 10 years. That's, unless you're coming from like a Grand Cru village or a Premier Cru village in Burgundy or some other really notorious places that grow great wine. A 10-year-old white can be a little scary. But this is one. So yeah, for somebody who enjoys wine, this is going to be something really special because it'll be an exploration. And if they've had it before, even if they don't like it, this is a wine they don't get to have every day. It's not something they get to put in their cellar ever. And so that's what's really fun about this bottle. And so when you're thinking about how to buy wine for a wine expert or for a friend who knows a lot about wine, think about gifting them something that will make them think, or make them use their knowledge, or maybe open a door for them that they've never opened before in terms of their wine experience.
Yeah, and this would involve like actually doing some research. And like looking for like a really cool, unusual place. Like Switzerland is one, and along that vein in France, you have the Jura and you have the Savoie, which essentially border Switzerland, and for all intents and purposes should just be considered more Swiss in style that they produce, more so than French.
Right.
And, you know, they're super, super cool wines to consider giving to someone. But when it also comes to considering is like, if you know what they like, a safe bet is buying something that they like.
So if you know that this person drinks old Chablis or an old Premier Cru white Burgundy, this might be a fun wine for them to enjoy. If you know that they love Chenin Blanc, this might be a fun wine for them to enjoy. But you don't have to know that. If you know, buying a wine that's different for somebody who has that knowledge or drinks wine, you know, with frequency and knows a lot about wine, makes it fun. Yeah. And they'll talk to you about it. What will also happen is that they're going to open that bottle and text you a picture of it, and then every time you see them,
they're going to
talk about that bottle of wine. You're
going to hear about it.
So maybe buy 2, try it first, make sure you like it, and then if you don't like it, don't give it to them. Unless you want to have it again. Yeah. Because if they like it, they're going to find it, and every time you see them, they'll serve it to you.
Correct. Yeah, because it's really funny when I was thinking about what bottle of wine would I gift you. And ultimately, you fall into like 2 categories for me. You fall into 2 categories for me. I'm going either one of 2 ways.
Is there wine that is made with coal? Because I feel like you'd go there.
I would. You know, I'll just like put that as like a little side project.
Great.
Get you like a non-filtered something, you know, and like supply you the coal to like filter it through.
Perfect.
Yeah. But no, I'm going to either pick for you a champagne of some sort, or I'm going Napa.
Yeah.
Napa Cab.
That'll work.
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled.
Yeah. And like I know you well enough to like know what champagne houses to go through. I know your style. I know like your favorite non-vintage house style is the Ruinart Blanc de Blanc, and that tells me a lot about, you know, what is the type of champagne I'm going to pick for you.
I'm glad it tells you a lot about my champagne, and it's not a psychoanalysis.
It could be. They always are. They always are. Yeah. Like read your mind. I also know you won't necessarily like turn your head up if I like find like a like excellent like Dom Perignon or something along this line, and be like, or you know, like a bottle of Krug or so on, that I find like a steal, and just be like, oh, because Adam loves champagne, and like this is a really good champagne, even if it's not your particular style. I know you'd be like, yes, please, thank you. And the same with going with Napa.
And I know what I'm getting you.
Yeah?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm getting you some legitimate ice wine.
Yes.
Ice vine. Probably. That's probably where we'd go. Yeah, whatever I'm getting for you is going to come in a tall bottle. I mean, let's just be honest about it.
Yep.
And will probably be made out of Riesling, or it's ice vine.
One of the 2.
Yeah, but that's because we know each other's styles and can do that. So while I take my first sip, Anna, can we talk a little bit about like, I want to get something for somebody who loves wine, but I don't want to get them wine. Yeah. What are some other options that we have? Yeah.
I mean, we have one of them here.
Sitting on the table,
which we have the Durand here, which I actually think is like an incredibly essential tool for the wine collector, or for somebody who really enjoys wine and is thinking about getting into collecting.
Especially if they enjoy aging wine.
Yes.
Like if you know this person has a good amount of vintage wine in their cellar, or that's what they really enjoy to drink, this is a great gift.
Yeah. I would cry if somebody like gave me this, just because I think it's beautiful. And for me, there's not many wine tools that I think of as essential in the process of collecting. There's only a handful that I think are actually incredibly important. Yeah. And this falls into that category.
I would agree.
Just because it is so, like when it comes to aging wine, the cork gets weaker and weaker, and you have to find a way to actually get the cork out, or you're going to have like cork particles in the bottle because the cork has fallen apart, and it's a whole
Or you wind up, if you use just your traditional screw-in
it's going to push it in
wine
there.
Opener, you're going to screw it in. It will either the cork will start to deteriorate, or you'll get it in there, and then when you go to pull it out, it's just going to strip the whole cork out of the bottle. Yep. Putting cork particles in your wine and making it impossible to get that cork out of that bottle of wine. Yes. And if you're opening a wine that is that old, that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And so basically how the Durand works is you insert the corkscrew first all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you very slowly,
The two prongs.
there are 2 prongs, and you very slowly wiggle those down the cork along the side, and then you take the entire piece and you gently twist and pull up at the same time.
Yeah, because what the 2 prongs do is they stabilize the cork, and so even though you have a cork that's incredibly fragile, that hopefully it's putting enough pressure on it caught between the glass and the cork, that it's holding the cork together as you are slowly but surely pulling it out.
Right, and by introducing the volume of the screw inside of the cork and then having the 2 stabilizers on the outside, you actually force the cork to push up against those stabilizers. And as you twist, that separates it from the bottle as it comes out. So it is a tool that actually probably is the reason that most people get to enjoy really old wine. Like when you start getting into 40-year-old bottles of wine, anybody opening those without a Durand is an idiot. So don't do that. Buy a Durand.
Buy a Durand. Not sponsored, unless we are.
All right, so we've got a Durand. Another great tool that we don't have on the table today is a Corbin. So Corbin's a little more well-known than Durand outside of like wine expertise. But basically a Corbin is a tool that uses a medical grade needle to insert down under the cork. And then uses CO2 to push the wine through the needle out into the glass. And so on top of, regardless of the cork's condition, you can get wine out of the glass or out of the bottle. We experienced trying to Corbin a bottle that had a faulty cork. And yes, it was a little messy, but we were able to get the wine out enough to know that there was an issue with the cork. But it also, getting that wine out of that bottle through the cork like that, if there is a fault with the cork or the cork is really difficult, you can still get that wine out without putting particles into it. You could, if you really needed to, use the Corbin to get the entire bottle out of that bottle.
Yes, you could.
It would suck, but you could do it. And that might be the only way. So a Corbin is a great tool.
A Corbin would be an amazing tool. And then if you know somebody, and you're thinking about gifting somebody who has wine who happens to have a Corbin, canisters from Corbin are also incredibly essential. And so those would also be an incredibly good
thoughtful
gift. Yes, incredibly
That's a thoughtful gift.
A
Knowing
stocking stuffer.
Yes, good stocking stuffer, exactly. Another great option we have on the table is good glassware. You get a wine enthusiast some really good glasses. They're going to be thrilled. So what are some of your favorites, Anna?
So I love Lehman glasses in particular. So
What's Lehman? Because most Americans won't
I know
recognize that name.
most people wouldn't recognize Lehman. Lehman is a wine maker located in Reims, so in Champagne. And they make beautiful glasses anywhere between machine-made or hand-blown.
Absolutely.
And not at an absolutely crazy price point.
No.
But they're really fun because they're really hard to get in the United States. So.
Definitely. And Lehman makes glasses that are intended to drink. They make glasses that you can drink any varietal out of. But I mean, what I particularly love about Lehman, they're Champagne. They are from Champagne. They are Champagne people. They make great glasses for Champagne. But what great glasses for Champagne usually are also great universal glasses. And so these glasses that we've been using are from Lehman. These are not hand blown, these are machine blown. But as you can see, they look hand blown. They have a very thin stem, a very wide base, a nice big bowl. It tapers. This is a kind of the perfect universal tasting glass, which is why we chose them. And so, finding those types of glasses are great. Another obvious option, if you know wine glasses, is Riedel.
Riedel, their Vetróz line is one of my favorite lines of wine glasses, from like their champagne glasses up to their like New World Pinot Noir, which are some of my favorite universal like drinking glass. Are great options.
Great.
Also Zalto.
Zalto.
Yeah.
So if you really love them, you can buy them Denkart Zalto.
Yeah.
Yes, and these are probably the premier wine glass stemware in the world.
Yes.
Exceptionally thin, all hand blown.
Yeah.
Gorgeous glasses.
Yeah.
And it seems ridiculous to say that it changes the wine experience, but it changes the wine experience.
It does.
It just does.
I'll never forget when we were at dinner at La Royale, and they had Zalto glasses, but it wasn't the Zalto wine glasses that impressed me. It was the water glasses.
It was the €75 water glass that really
was
gotcha.
Like paper thin.
Yeah.
And it was just an experience, and I have bought those water glasses as gifts for people who don't even drink alcohol or don't drink wine, just because it's like this is truly a special gift.
Right. Well, and I kind of that night walking into that restaurant and knowing already about La Royale, and we knew it was going to be an exceptional experience, but then sitting down, looking at the water glass, seeing the name at the bottom, seeing Denkart, it was just kind of set the tone, right? Yeah. We knew from the fact that they served us water in Denkart, we knew what we were getting. Yep. And it's proved.
Yeah.
Proved true.
Yeah, it definitely proved true.
Yes. So those are great things to get for people who like wine that aren't wine.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about wine.
Yes.
Buying wine for wine experts.
Yes.
How to approach that.
Yeah.
The one we have on our table is a good one because it's unique, it's different. What are some other, so white wine from Switzerland, there's one,
really cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool wine, unique, etc. What are some other options that you think would kind of spark somebody's interest if they're a wine expert? If you got a bottle and you would say, wow, I'm glad I got that.
Yeah. A few regions come to mind, and particularly we're looking for non-popular regions. I think Tolkais from Hungary are super cool gifts. You don't see a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know what they are, but I think they're actually they are a premier dessert wine. Just absolutely delicious. I think Tolkais are always something that's on the table. Looking for other
For me, I would be really happy to get a Madeira. There are some wines that are wine side Madeira and port fortified wines. They used to be super popular, especially in Great Britain, which kind of drove that market, that luxury market globally for a while. Their popularity fell off for a while, but I think it's starting to come back. But Madeira is such a fun wine, and it's just not one that is always top of mind to get.
Yes.
But then you get it, and you're like, yes, this will be fun.
Yeah.
Great for a cheese board. Great for between dinner and dessert, or great to just sip. Madeira is delicious, and not a lot of people buy it. So that's a great option if you're not looking to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can get really good Madeira for not too much money.
Yeah. Another option, because we reported this at a restaurant and I was just amazed by it, is if you can find it, is grapes that are used in ways that they traditionally aren't used.
Yeah.
And so Palomino is a grape that's traditionally used in sherry, and you don't find it really outside of sherry production until you do.
Yes.
So we had a non-fortified still Palomino.
And it was delicious.
It was delicious. It was a really cool wine. It was a really cool experience. And I think something along that line would also be an incredibly cool gift to give someone.
Right. Another good one is thinking about a non-prominent grape from a prominent region. So we just, we're talking about our wines of the year. Our wine of the year is a champagne made out of 100% Pinot Meunier. Yeah. Meunier is not Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, which a majority of champagnes are made with those two. And so finding a grape like Pinot Meunier that's not necessarily the star of the show in a prominent region is a lot of fun as well. Yeah. So great. So let's talk a little bit about this wine. We've let it open up. We've got it in our glass. We've taken some sips.
Yeah.
So this is a 2015 Amigne de Vetróz. Amigne is the grape. It comes from the Valais region of Switzerland. What are you getting on the nose?
Just a lot more orange tangerines, tangerine like pith and orange pith, orange blossoms, white blossoms, a little bit of spice, baking spice, cinnamon.
Definitely. So that's what I find really interesting about this wine is that it walks this tightrope of like feeling aged but being very fresh.
Yes.
And so like you get these baking spiced, maybe a little cinnamon, but then it's just this blast of tangerine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That again keeps it fresh and bright and keeps you wanting to come back to it. But because of the age on it, it has some body and it sits well with food, right? This is a foodie wine, if I've ever had one.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I definitely get that. And so, on the palate, what's fun is that it's true to form.
Yes.
What you smell is what you taste, and that's not always true. And some people don't like that; they want it to be a little more complex. But the nose is so complex that once you taste it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is just such a uniform wine, and I don't mind that one bit.
No.
Yeah, I want some sushi. Like,
yeah, this is an ultimate sushi wine.
I'm gonna be a happy man.
Yeah,
for sure. So sushi. What else would I put this with? What would you put this with?
I would put it with like something that's super rich in umami. Like I think this would be great with mushroom risotto. Oh. Yeah.
Yes, it would. Yeah. That would be delicious. Yeah, or like this would be great with like just pasta and cream sauce with truffles.
Yep.
In this wine
would
crush. White truffles probably, but more than black. But anything truffly would be good with this. A truffly cheese. This would be great with a cheese board.
Oh, yeah.
Or a cheese course.
Yeah.
Get some aged brie. Get some.
No, this is like the ultimate charcuterie wine.
Mm-hmm. Because if you have, what's great about this is if you have some spicy cured meat, this will stand up to the spice.
Yeah.
It won't, and the spice won't overpower the wine.
Yeah.
If you have a super luxurious, rich, soft cheese, this will partner beautifully with that soft cheese.
And all the way from like the dried apricots.
Yeah.
Which are the best part of the charcuterie board.
Yeah, but if you have like Marcona almonds or cashews
all of these,
or anything,
it's gonna pair well across the board with that.
It is the charcuterie wine.
It is as a compliment.
As a compliment, right?
As a compliment.
But I would also serve this with like a creamy fish main course. It's a great versatile wine. But to be honest, it's also a full-bodied white, and those are really fun to just drink. You don't need food.
They're some of my favorite. If you can find them and you can find a full-bodied white that's made well, they're ultimately some of my favorite wines.
That's right. And I think this might qualify.
It does.
So let's rate it. Let's give it some stars.
Yeah. So first one, is it a well-made wine?
I think so.
I also think so. I think this is a well-made wine.
When you're putting out an ancient varietal like this, and I mean, it doesn't have to be flawless because people don't know what the varietal is looking for. Yeah. But this wine tastes so good that even if that ancient varietal isn't popular for reasons, taste reasons or growing reasons, this wine is so good that it overcomes those. So I would agree. It's very well made.
Yeah.
And we can go into the next star of ageability. Like this wine is from 2015. It's a aged white. That's not common.
Yeah. And I think it has the potential to age more.
Yeah.
Because the tertiary notes are just starting to develop, and it's still so ripe and bright. And even though it's full-bodied, the acidity on it is still pretty lively.
Yes.
And so I think this has about another 8 to 10 years, in its legs to go.
And I think what would happen in those, if you really let it go, 8 to 10 years, aged it well, in the right conditions, it would be really fun to open. That wine would be so fun to drink. And I hope I get to go to Papilloud and drink some of their wine that is that old, because I think it's going to be fun. I just can't imagine how it could get better, but I somehow can't imagine how it would get better, and I want to experience that for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about rarity.
Yeah.
It's a Grand Cru ancient
grape
from Switzerland. It's rare.
It is rare. It is rare. There's not that much of it. No.
Just period. I mean, some of these, it's not this one. There's another like lesser varietal in Switzerland. It's red. There's only 200 acres, literally totally, in the whole globe planted.
Yeah.
And so Humaine Rouge, if you see Humaine Rouge, buy it. Because you can't find it. And if you do find it, it's fabulous wine.
Yeah.
Because the growing guidelines and regulations are so strict on that grape because of how little there is. This isn't 200 acres, but it's not much.
Yep.
And so if we're talking about global production only being a couple hundred acres or a couple thousand acres, that's so small.
It's so small.
So.
And I've not seen this grape outside of Switzerland. It might exist in other places, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, I know that the ancient family of this grape is Spanish Italian because the Romans introduced this to Switzerland. And it might go by other names, but those are 3rd, 5th, 17th cousins of this grape.
Yep.
They're not this.
Yep.
So, yeah. So price point. Definitely gets a star here.
Yeah, it's around like $60, $70, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that or it might even be cheaper, but yeah, it's not expensive.
Yeah.
Because I
easy.
think because the fact that Americans don't drink Swiss wine, because the Swiss drink all their wine.
Yeah.
They drink 85% of their wine. There isn't the market to mark this up too much, and so it's not expensive. So if you can find it, it's usually a great value.
Yeah. And then the other star.
Yeah, so we've done rarity, price, ageability, well made. What's the other one? Notable.
Yeah.
Notable.
Yeah.
We're Grand Cru. This is the best of the best for this particular grape.
Yep.
Small grower producer. I find it to be notable.
I also find it to be notable.
So I'm going to give this a star.
Yeah.
I think we have a 5-star wine.
I also think we have a 5-star wine. I think this is an easy 5-star wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This flying colors.
Flying, like.
And it's just delicious. The other thing is that it's just good.
It's just good. This is just a well-made, delicious wine that, even though it's big, it's so lively and light on its feet and just a pleasure to drink.
Yes,
That
I agree.
It is a serious wine and it lets you know that it's a serious wine, but it feels as though it could just be a porch pounder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a serious wine that's approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's the CEO who wears a T-shirt. I
Correct.
mean, you don't feel bad about approaching him in a Starbucks.
Yeah. No. You just go up and say hi.
Yeah, you go up and say hi. That's right. So, we're going to say hello a little bit more to this wine. But when you're thinking about gifting wine, when you're thinking about gifting to a wine enthusiast, here are some ideas. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you and guide you along. But in the meantime, we're going to enjoy this delicious Swiss wine.
Yeah. Cheers.